Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 18, verse 51 to 53. Buddha Vishuddhaya Yukta Dhritatmanang Niyamacha Shabdadin Vishaya Shakta Rago Deshay Buddhashacham Bibikto Shevi Lagyashi Jadpakman Kayamanasha Dhanu Yoga Param Nitam Vairagya Samupasritaha Ahankarang Balang Darpang Kama Krodhang Parigraham Vimuccha Nirmamo Shanta Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate.
Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust and anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self realization.
Number 54. Brahma Bhuta Vashanatma Nashocati Nakankati Shama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhakting Lavate Param.
One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
Number 55. Bhaktama Bhaktamama Vijanati Yavan Yashmashi Tattataha Tatu Mang Tattatu Gyata Vishate Tadantaram.
One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God.
Number 56. Sharvakarmana Pishada Kurbana Mattapasrayah Mat Prasadat Papnati Shashyatam Padam Abhayam.
Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace.
Number 57. Sorry. Chetosha Sharva Karmani Mai Shangnasya Matparaha Buddhi Yoga Mupasrita Machitta Shatatam Bhava.
In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me.
Number 58. Machitta Sharva Durgani Matpashada Tarishashi Yatha Tatamahankarana Nashashashi Binakshashi.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Number 59. Jadahankara Masrita Najatsha iti manyashe Mithyaishaiva vashayaste Prakitisthang niyokshati.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare.
Number 60. Shavavajena kanteya Nibaddha shena karmana Kutung nechoshi janmaha karishasya vashahopitat.
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but, compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti.
Number 61. Ishwaraha sarvabhutanang riddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani jantarurani mayaya.
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy.
Number 62. Tameva sharanangacha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shanting sanang prashashi shashvatam.
O son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode.
Number 63. Iti te ganamakshatham gujja gujyat gujyotaram maya brimishay tat shashena jatheshashi tatha kuru.
Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
Number 64. Sarva guhya tamang bhuya srinu me paramang vachaha ishtaha shi me diramati tato bakshami te hitam.
Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Heed this from me, for it is for your own benefit.
Number 65. Manmana bhava madbhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vishyashi shatatang te pratijane priyoshime.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
Number 66. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekang sharanang braja aham tvam sarva papebho makshayshami ma shuchaha.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
67. Idam te nahata pakshaya naho bhaktaya kadachana na chaho sushrushabe vachang na cha mang jabhushuyate.
This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
Number 68. Ya idang paramanguchang mad madbhakte su vidhashati bhakting mai param krita mame vashrita shangshaya.
For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
Number 69. Na cha tashmananu ne nusheshu kasmine priya kritamaha bhavita na chame dasya danna anna priyatara bhuvi.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
Number 70. Adhayeshyate cha yemang dharmang sangbadamabhayah jnana yagena te nama mo mis sorry Mr. Shamiti Memiti.
And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
Number 71. Shraddhavananusuyasya shinaya dopi yo naraha Shopi mukta shubhalokan prapnuyat punnakarmanam.
And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell.
Number 72. Kachidecha tayang partha tavaikagrena chetusha kachida agyana shanmaha pranashta shaste dhananjaya.
O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard these with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled?
Number 73. Nashtumaha shriti labdha tat prasadat mayachita stitaha shigat shandeha karishe vachanang tava.
Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and I am firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
Number 74. Sanjay Uvacha Itahang Vasudevascha Parthascha cha Mahatmanaha Shangbado Mimam Srachashai Advudang Ramahashanam.
Sanjay said, this I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjun, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end.
75. Prasada Basho Prasadacha Sruto Mavena Atad Gucha Mahang Param Yogong Yogeshara Krishna Shakat Katayato Shayam.
Is it 75, yeah?
75, sorry.
Yeah. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Number 76. Yajan Shamsrita Shangbado Mima Adhudam Keshavarjunam Punna Ishami Cha Muhurmaha.
O king, I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjun. I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment.
Number 77. Tachu Samsrita Rupo Tadbudang Hare Vishaya Me Mahan Rajam Ishami Cha Puna Puna.
O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
Number 78. Yatro Yogeshara Krishna, Yatro Partha Dhanurtharaha, Yatro Sri Vijaya Bhuti, Dhruva Niti Matir Mama.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Shupanishatsu Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Shangbade Makka Yoga Namak Ashtadi Shraddhaya Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Please forgive any mistakes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That was a wonderful, wonderful recitation by both the Matajis, Palika Mataji and Jyoti Mataji. So thank you so much for that. It was very soothing to hear this beautiful recitation and feel so fortunate to be amongst all the elevated Vaishnavas here. So please accept my humble obeisances, my obeisances to each and every one of you assembled devotees. And thank you so much for allowing me to serve. And I'll really try and share something today for my own purification. And I really beg for your blessings because without your blessings, I cannot share anything. So please, if you find somewhere in your heart to give me a blessing, I am most grateful to you. So we will start today as usual with the recitation of Mangalacharan prayers to invoke auspiciousness and to seek blessings of Acharya, Gurudev and Lord Shri Krishna. So I hope you can join me behind muted mics. That would be wonderful. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Om Tat Sat. So I will try and share the slides for our today's class, so session. If you can let me know whether it is visible, the chapter 18 slide.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Okay, Mataji. So, yes, dear devotees, again, please accept my humble obeisances. I'll try and share something today for my own purification. Please, I beg if you can forgive my mistakes. And thank you for allowing me to serve. This is the means by which I can learn and share something. And it's a gift that all of you are giving me, who's the junior most and who's not. Who's still learning. So please, I beg your forgiveness, and I really hope that you can bless me. And yeah, so let's try, and I'll try to share something. We are on to chapter 18, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. And the Sanskrit title goes Moksha Sannyas Yoga. And we are on to the last section of this chapter, as well as Bhagavad-Gita, the last section, which is 56 to 78 verses, and that explains the glory of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti is the highest, higher than Karma Yoga, higher than Jnana Yoga. And why Bhakti Yoga is glorious is explained here by Lord Shri Krishna himself. And our today's verse, I will recite. Yat ahankaramashritya nayotsya iti manyase mityaisha vyavasayaste prakrutistvam niyokshati. So the translation is, if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. So, even the last verse, this verse, now here Lord Shri Krishna is directly speaking to Arjun. These verses are directly spoken to him. And here we will read a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Arjuna was a military man and
Okay.
born of the nature of the Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur sinful reactions. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions as if he were directing the good and bad results of such work. He forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take direction from the Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that will keep one safe under all circumstances. Wow, that was such a beautiful purport here by Srila Prabhupada. And I love this last line when I read it earlier also, that it will keep one safe. Now, this gives such a beautiful feeling that it keeps us safe if we listen to Krishna, his instructions, follow the instructions of Krishna and Guru, who is the representative of Krishna. If we act in this way, then we are safe under all circumstances. Now, that is a very, very assuring and hope giving purport. So, Srila Prabhupada is extremely merciful and very compassionate on all of us. He always explains in his purports very beautifully, even though the verse could be very difficult to understand. So, here we can understand that this verse, what it is about. So, I have just, there are 4 lines here, and then here they are broken down. We can see that. The first part, Yad Ahankaram Ashritya. So, what Lord Krishna is saying to Arjun, that instead of taking ashray or shelter of me, you take shelter of ahankar, that is false ego. What does false ego mean? It means when I feel I am powerful, I am strong, I know what to do, I don't need guidance, and I can do as per my own directions, I can act. That is false ego. And na yotsya, if you think I will not fight, Mithyesha Vyavasayaste. Such determination will come falsely directed, mithya. This kind of determination is false because it is based on false ego, and you are saying you will not fight. So, and then Prakrutis Tvam Niyoshyati. Material nature will engage you anyway. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada explains that Arjun is a military man, right? He says in his purport here that Arjun is a military man and born of the nature of the Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that
Haribol, we can't hear you.
You lost you. Yeah, I think something's gone wrong her side. Hare Krishna, Divya, Gaurangi, we can't hear you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we can't hear you.
I think some problem
I
over
think she had the problem with her mobile and the computer, I think, yesterday, didn't she? in our Bhagavad-Gita class. So I'm sure she's having the same problem. She was freezing every, sort of. There she is.
Yeah, she's come.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Now we lost you.
What's happening? You get freezing frozen all the time?
Yes, because of my internet connection is showing unstable. So whenever my internet gets cuts off, then you won't be able to hear me. So I am very sorry. I'm just switching my internet whenever that happens. So you'll have to bear with me today for that. So I was saying that Srila Prabhupada says that because Arjun is a military man, he is going to fight anyway. Now, here we need to understand that there are two things. First thing is that, he is a Kshatriya, so he has to fight, okay? But he is saying that he will not fight. Now, he is giving certain reasons from Srila Prabhupada's purport. That is the main point of focus here. And here we can see that, first of all, Arjuna's duty is to fight as his natural position. But he is refusing to fight out of false ego. Because what he's saying, he's fearing that by killing his relatives, he would incur sinful reactions. Now, how to understand this? First of all, to understand born of your nature. Here now in Shloka 58, what was explained is that the result of following or hearing Krishna by his mercy, Arjuna will cross all obstacles. But if he does not work in Krishna consciousness and acts through false ego, he will be lost. That was verse 58, yesterday's verse. We learned very beautifully by Prabhuji. And today's verse, what it says is that out of illusion and out of false ego, if you don't follow Krishna, then you are falsely directed, Arjuna, right? Ahankar is directly, Ahankar is false ego. Now, if you go against your nature, if you give up my advice, then that's not good for you, Krishna says, because you are unnecessarily getting directed by your false ego. Now, even in verse 2.5, if we go back and read Bhagavad-Gita chapter 2, verse 5, even there, Arjuna gets directed by his false ego. False ego means he is thinking, I am the master of my activities, and whatever I do, the result also depends on me. So when we think this way, we are misdirected. Even then, he says that it is better to beg, but not kill the great souls, teachers, and superiors. That is, again, he is repeating here. So he's saying, he's talking here about sinful reactions. You see here, he's saying that I will get sinful reactions. So now Arjun is thinking his compassion is based on the material plane. And Krishna's compassion is always on spiritual plane, which is the right compassion. You know, when a man is drowning in a river, and if the man is drowning and his coat comes off, and the coat is also drowning, and if we lament for that coat, that's what Arjun is doing. He's lamenting for the body which is perishable, which is made up of fire, air, earth, ether, water. It is going to perish. And then beyond that, there is this subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. That is also going to move on with the soul in the next body. So what Krishna is saying is, what are you lamenting for, Arjun? Here we have to understand that Bhishma and Drona, right? They are taking side of adharma. So as a Kshatriya, you are not supposed to show such kindness. Instead, you have to counterattack those who are on the side of adharma. Now, this is following the scriptures. As a Kshatriya, a king's duty, Kshatriya's duty is to remove the problems of the people who are infected, who are adharmic. They could go and infect others. It is best to remove them, and that way you are also showing compassion on them. You are stopping them from doing more sinful activities. So that is the nature of a Kshatriya. And although not willingly, this Bhishma, Drona, they are still, on the side of Arjuna. At heart, they didn't want to. Krishna knew that in their heart, they knew that Duryodhan is completely adharmic. But because there is, Krishna has a disapproval of their external action, but he never disowned Bhishma. He never disowned him, considering his heart was in the right place. Later on, we will see that, Krishna even rewards Bhishma. So we can see here that Krishna has a deep mercy and compassion for all his devotees, everyone. His compassion is on spiritual plane and Arjuna's compassion is on the material plane. So Krishna is compassionate to all on the battlefield. He is God, he considers us all equal. We are part and parcel of Krishna, all of us. In Bhagavad Gita, there is this verse, Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So, but because they have done something wrong, whoever is on Duryodhana's side, they are mischievous, and because of their taking the side of Dharma, Krishna is supposed to give them punishment as appropriate. And Arjuna being with Krishna, he's very fortunate. Krishna is with him, directly guiding him. Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has to do is follow the words of the Lord, act according to his nature, which is a Kshatriya. Everything is in line. And now he is refusing because he is falsely directed. Why? Because he is thinking, I am the controller of my action. He is falsely misdirected because he is thinking on the bodily platform. Oh, killing them. Now, we are not supposed to show compassion on body, but soul, which matters because soul is not going to die. So, if we really want to help someone, then we have to really help them on the soul level. That's something I wanted to discuss here, that all these, the focus of learning in this purport is basically this, that a conditioned soul should not act on a material plane. He should not be falsely directed, because then he's forgetting his relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he considers himself the master of his actions. We cannot decide our own destiny. All we can do is work hard. Then the result is always with Krishna. When we work in this mentality, in the service mode of Krishna, following our dharma, our path, then we will always be safe. We should never hesitate, and we should execute the order of God and his representative, our guru, and that will keep one safe in all the circumstances. So basically, that is the gist, the crux of this verse. Two things: following our dharma and following the spiritual path. So there are these beautiful two quotes on false ego and dharma. So someone would like to read the two volunteers for each one, please.
Shall I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
I'll read the false ego, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
False ego. To achieve such a state of surrender, one has to be free from selfish desires, unaffected by dualities, devoid of all false prestige. Dualities are born of false ego, the worst enemy of surrender. One who transcends false ego and with it the effects of duality is very easily freed from material desires, and then he vanquished hate, greed, anger, fear, and so on. Renunciation through wisdom, 5.1 that is. Well, such a thing to do, false ego. Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful. And who would like to read Dharma?
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes, please, Mitali Mataji.
Thank you. Dharma, we have purposely denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. A living being sustains of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is the all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal form. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Matajis. Okay, so here we can see what Srila Prabhupada is explaining so beautifully about false ego and dharma. So these are both opposite things. If we are in false ego, then we will not be able to execute our dharma properly. So both the concepts we need to understand fully. Now here, I wanted to give one more example that when Arjuna is Kshatriya and he thinks he will go and beg. Now think about this. What happens? What does a Kshatriya do? He is very chivalrous by nature. He is extremely in the mood of justice. He has to get everything right. He will never bend down in front of someone. He cannot beg, and you cannot say no to a Kshatriya, really. That is how the kings were in previous. But they were ruling with a lot of justice also. They were very kind to their public, but they have this nature. Kshatriya by nature are quite aggressive. So, it is say for example he goes to beg, and then what will happen? Someone will say to him that go away, I will not give you the alms. What would Arjun do? He will take out his sword as a Kshatriya, that how can you speak to me like this. And in the same way, there is this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra according to Varna and Ashrama system. By now, we have, we've all learned this on this forum about this. And for example, Brahmana, if you tell a Brahmana, he's always studying Bhagavad-Gita and scriptures and he wants to educate others, and that's what a Brahmana does. But if you tell him to become a Vaishya and have a mentality of selling all his scriptures and making money, because Vaishya's nature, dharma, is to profit economy. He has to make money and in a holistic way, not in a selfish way. They also do a lot of charity. But what I'm trying to say is, whatever is our dharma, we have to act like as per our dharma. We cannot become something we are not, because it will be a failure, it will be a disaster. So in the same way, if so Kshatriya cannot beg and Brahmana cannot kill anyone. And Vaishya, who's always busy doing profit and business, if you tell him to read scriptures, he might start thinking at some point that, oh, what if I sell all these? How much money I will make? So we cannot really change our profession, what we are born of, and we have to follow. So that way here, it is said that Arjun, in that sense also, his vritti, his svabhav is Kshatriyas, so he should fight. And say also one more example I was thinking of is a soldier. Say when a soldier fights bravely in the battle, like a Kshatriya, he will get medal for that, right? But now this soldier fights over petty quarrel back at home and shoots his neighbor. What will happen? He will be hanged or severely punished for such a crime, isn't it? So what happened here? What is the difference? Would anyone would like to tell me? Well, let's discuss. What is the difference when a soldier wins a medal in the battle for fighting, but if he kills the neighbor, then he gets punished? So
Hare Krishna Divya.
yes,
No,
Mataji.
the soldier is being directed by the government. I mean, at the moment, before it was king, but now at the moment it's by the government. They've been sent to the battlefield by the by the instruction. So there's Dasi Dharma. So he's not going to get any karma to that. But if he comes home and kill any neighbors, that's his own. He's not acting as a
Yes.
Kshatriya or his dharma. That's not his dharma too. So he will be punished.
Yes.
So according to by the direction he was acting. So if he's
Yes.
acting on his own whims, so
Yes.
there's you know consequences.
Yes, yes, correct, Mataji. That's the point I was trying to make here. That when a soldier fights the battle and he kills, he gets a medal if he acts with a very adventurous, chivalrous way. It's because he is following the instruction of the higher authority of state and the military, the general. But back at home, if he kills the neighbor, he is breaking all the rules of the state and he will be locked up. So our nature is directed properly according to time, place, and circumstance, and then it will lead to our purification and elevation according to time, place, and circumstance. So, if a Kshatriya fights a battle according to the rules of scriptures, he is not incurring any sin because he is fighting on the Dharma side, and his duty is to remove the adharmic people who have become a problem. So, a Kshatriya fighting a Dharma Yuddha will become elevated. This is how things work in spiritual life, and that's the purpose of instruction of Bhagavad Gita, to enable Arjun to use his Kshatriya propensity in dharmic way according to time, place, and circumstances. That is why it is. There are two things here, and even in see, there is chapter 1 Bhagavad Gita. There are many verses. If I can think of verse number 31, if you want to go and look at it, and verse number 36, 37, and 38. Same thing is repeated there. You know that Arjuna has appeared to have forgotten moral codes of conduct of Kshatriya in verse 31. You know, it is explained in the purport that the conditioned souls forget their relationship with Krishna because they are bound by bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in the bodily condition. And Arjuna is reluctant to kill even his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thinks by killing them, he will incur sinful reaction. But for a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom, he requires the subsistence to live. You know, they cannot engage in any other occupation. His duty is to reclaim. Arjuna needs to reclaim the kingdom that was inherited by his father, which was taken away by Duryodhana in a adharmic way. So he needs to be killed. Otherwise, there is no stopping to his cruelty, and he had become infected. Like, you know, when we have something, if our finger is infected or it starts infected, we need to go to doctor and they might have to remove that part, right? Infected part. Otherwise, more it will spread the infection. In the same way, Duryodhana is infection. He needs to be stopped doing his whatever dharmic way he's going on and on. We all know about, right, that so many plots and plans they all did Kauravas to kill Pandavas, the atrocities on Draupadi, so many ways Kunti Maharani was always suffering, always worried about the safety of her children. So all of, and then in verse 36 of chapter 1, it is explained that there are 6 kinds of aggressors. If you remove them, then you will not incur any sin on the grounds of Arthashastra. And these aggressors are mentioned in, you can read verse 36. And tomorrow is the most auspicious Ram Navami, and I thought I could mention Lord Ram, that how saintly is Lord Ram. He is not a coward, he is a king who rules with saintly qualities. So hence Lord Ram killed Ravana, because Ravana was adharmic, he was sinful, he kidnapped Sitama. So hence Lord Ram gave sufficient lessons to Ravan, and it was unparalleled in the history of the world, and that's how Ravana gets punished for his adharmic ways of kidnapping someone else's wife and ruling in a very, very bad way, calling himself God, and he's public, he was forcing them to worship him. So Lord Ram did the same as a Kshatriya. He had to kill Ravan. That is another example there. Now there is this beautiful point that Suttapa Prabhuji makes in his book Bhagavata. I thought we can again take some time to read. Devotees can take turns. And Narad Muni's instruction to Maharaj Yudhishthir, this is in Canto 7 in the last few chapters, where Narad Muni gives instruction on Varna and Ashramas. So there are 4 points here and 3 here. Okay, so one devotee can read this slide and next devotee another slide, please. Who would like to volunteer?
Hare Krishna, can I read?
Yes, Jyoti Mataji, please.
Generally, society is divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, Brahmacharis, Vanaprasthas, Sannyasis, and Grahasthas. Shall I continue?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay. Everyone must act according to his position and try to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that will make one's life successful. This was instructed in Naimisaranya, O best among the twice born. It is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, dharma, according to caste divisions and order of life, is to please the Lord Hari. Everyone should act according to his occupational duties just to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then everyone will be happy.
Thank you so much. Yes, so here we can see that all the Varna and Ashramas, it is mentioned here that we all have to act according to what is our own nature that we are born with. We need to follow that. And here again, there is a beautiful mention of 2 verses which are repeated twice in Bhagavad Gita. And who would like to read this slide?
Hare Krishna, can I read please, Mataji?
Yes, please. Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
There are 2 verses which Krishna repeats twice, practically verbatim, in the Bhagavad Gita. Firstly, Krishna reminds Arjuna of the need to embrace one's material duties. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Distraction in the cause of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Bhagavad Gita 3.35.
Carry on, Mataji, please.
Thank you. Beyond this, Krishna tells Arjuna of the ultimate duty. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Bhagavad Gita 9.34. These 2 verses relate to the absolute necessity of embracing Swadharma, or worldly duty, in this life, and simultaneously perfecting Sanatana Dharma, or ultimate duty, in spiritual life. In order to fulfill these purposes and navigate the material world, Narada Muni also described Manusya Dharma, qualities of civilized beings, which forms the foundation of a successful life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So see here, it is clearly said by Narad Muni that one should follow their Swadharma. Swadharma is the one that you are born of, the quality that you are born of. And nowadays, we can even find our own dharma. It doesn't mean that okay, you are born like this. So like Srila Prabhupada said that everyone can be a brahmana. You don't have to be a born brahmana, but you can learn, you can chant, and Srila Prabhupada has given a perfect recipe of how to become a good devotee and brahmana. So what I'm trying to say is that to find our dharma, there are 2 things. We need to see what we are good at doing and what activity attracts us. Now, these 2 things, when it overlaps, whatever, say you are very good at something and that makes you happy also, it attracts you towards that, that is basically your dharma. It is like when you tell someone who is right handed to write with the left hand, what will happen when you write with the left hand but you are actually a right handed? Will the writing be easy? No, it will be very difficult to write with the left hand. It will be unnatural. Writing will not be beautiful. So that's what we are doing when we are trying to do some other occupation that is not according to our own nature. It is going to cause chaos. It is going to be difficult for us. That is why we need to find our dharma by finding what we are good at and what we makes us happy, along with that should be in accordance to what Krishna wants us to do. It should be done in a dharmic way. So it should also be done according to scriptures and what Krishna and our Guru says. So do your dharma, but do it in the right way by following Krishna and Guru. That is the whole point. And there is this beautiful analogy. I was looking at this that in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:935, on that verse, there is this analogy that the real independence of a living entity who is part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead is to remain always dependent on Supreme Lord. Just like a child who plays in complete independence, guided by his parents who watch over him. See here, this girl is happily playing away, and the mother is watching over. She is completely carefree and happy. She knows she is dependent on her mother for her safety, for her well being. In the same way, Krishna is our best well wisher. If we depend on him, you see, we are not independent. The only one who is independent is Krishna. He does not depend on anyone, but we do because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So here you can see that how Krishna is so merciful, Bhaktavatsala. He is first started off as Krishna's friend, then as a chariot driver, then he becomes a guru. When in the verse 7, Arjuna says, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava, prichami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. Now I am completely, broken down, illusion. Krishna, please guide me. And that's when Arjuna asks, Krishna gives the guidance. He takes the role of a guru. And even after speaking the entire Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says to Arjun, Arjun, now you decide. He is not imposing. He's still giving the free will to the jiva. You know, there is this beautiful bhajan I'm just thinking of by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Jiva jago, Gora Chandra bole, Kotanindra Jago Maya Pishachira Bole. I think we sang this bhajan once last year in this forum on a Saturday when we sing bhajan sometimes. So what is this Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago? Conditioned soul, please wake up, understand what is your actual position, who you are by your, what is your constitutional nature. You are supposed to depend on Krishna. He is your best well-wisher and he is your father. So just follow his instruction and that way you will be safe. And here, last time we discussed the pastime of Chitraketu, Vritrasu demon, who was actually Chitraketu in his previous life. And from there, here, Lord Shiva tells Mother Parvati when the curse is given to Chitraketu. And then Lord Shiva says that this is a beautiful verse again on the theme of our verse today, that Narayana para sarve nakutaschana bibhyati Swarga Pavarga Narakeshwa Api Tulyarthadarshinaha. So the translation is devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. So their focus is completely spiritual. It is not based on the bodily platform. It is not about the enjoyment of the body. It is this devotee Lord Shiva is speaking about is always thinking of how I can please my Lord. And by pleasing him, I will be happy. And thus, this devotee is never afraid. He is not fearful at all. And here we can see that based on the purport of Srila Prabhupada, Arjun, somewhere it is mentioned that he was fearing that by killing his relatives. That's why I put this verse here. Why he is fearing? Because at this point he is not thinking on the spiritual platform. He is thinking that his actions whatever result will be yielded, he is in control of action, result, everything, and he is thinking on the bodily platform. Whereas here Lord Shiva, what is he saying? That those who are dependent on Narayan, on Hari, they do not fear on in any condition of life because they always follow the words of Lord, and that way they are always protected. They just want to serve. They are not thinking of their own happiness. And we still have time, so I'll just quickly mention this, that there is this beautiful six characteristics here in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 2000, where there is six things are the characteristics of surrender. And I'm mentioning surrender here is because Arjuna really needs to surrender to Krishna completely, and he really needs to give up all his doubts. Then only he will have a surrender. And for us, for me, a sadhaka practicing devotee, and for all of us devotees, it is good to know what is the six main points of surrender. So the first one is to accept whatever is favorable, to render transcendental loving service to Lord, and to reject what is not favorable, which is unfavorable, which is like, if you can take the example of four regulative principles here, right? Intoxication, gambling, and all that, that is all unfavorable. And favorable is all the points of sadhana, waking up early, chanting, reading scriptures, doing arti, trying to attend Mangal Arti and taking devotees association, reading scriptures, all of that comes under favorable. And the third point is devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give me protection. Even the last verse of Bhagavad-Gita, what does it say? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti, Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, wherever his true devotee Arjuna is, there is definitely victory, there is definitely glory. So devotee must have this firm conviction, the faith in Krishna, that when I follow him, I'll be protected. And devotee should accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. Considering the time, I'm just going just bullet points. And self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent, right? So that's what also we have discussed here, that Arjuna thinks that he is independent. That's why he's thinking of all these doubts are coming in his mind. And devotee should be meek and humble. Humble means that anything that we have in our power is nothing is going to save us at the time of death except Krishna. That is humility. Srila Prabhupada explains that not my power, my position, my money, my connection, wealth, nothing can help me except Krishna's mercy. And in that mood, we take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. That is real humility. And meek. Meek means devotee is not someone who wants to be in the front always. He would not say, oh, I will only take the front line service. Okay, I want to be on the altar, or I want to be seen. No, a meek devotee means he is happy to take any service, cleaning toilets, behind the curtain, cleaning the temple floor. If you ask, okay, make garlands, do this, do that, serve a prasadam, mahaprasad to everyone, or clean the kitchen floor, they will do it because that is the definition of meek. It's not someone who wants to be in the front line. He is dasanudas. So these are the 6 characteristics, and as a sadhaka practicing devotee, for me, I really need to, I'm speaking for me, I really need to learn this. And then there is this beautiful pastime. I'll finish in 5 minutes in time. That beautiful pastime of okay, there is this story I wanted to say, but there is not enough time here. What's happening is there is Ashwathama who is going to who discharges a nuclear weapon called Brahmastra on Arjuna, because Arjuna is after him to kill him, because Ashwathama killed the 5 sons of Draupadi and Pandavas after the battle is finished. This happens after the warfare is finished, the Kurukshetra war is over. And so, what happens is he knows how to send this nuclear weapon. He does not know how to retrieve it, because there are mantras for sending it, there are mantras for retrieving it. He does not know, but he has just Arjuna is after him to catch him. He tells Draupadi, you just wait, I'll go and catch him. Draupadi is crying, the sons are dead, and he says, I'm going to finish him. He has done this heinous act. And then when Ashwathama is watching that Arjuna is following, so out of fear, he just discharges this nuclear weapon called Brahmastra. And then what happens is a glaring light is spread in all the direction, because this is no ordinary weapon. And it was so fierce that even Arjuna thought that there is a danger to his own life. And so he began to address Lord Shri Krishna, and that's this verse 1.7.22. It's a verse of surrender, which brings fearlessness. So Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrutehe. Arjuna said, "O my Lord Shri Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only." So here Krishna says this prayer when this frightening Brahmastra was shooted by Ashwathama. So we can see how when we surrender to Lord, if we are fearful, it will remove our fear. And tomorrow is the most auspicious Sri Ram Navami, and I just wanted to mention that there is this beautiful stotra which I was not aware of, but a very close devotee friend of mine I do service with, that Mataji told me to hear Nam Ramayan stotra a few years back, and this is the very beautiful stotra. It's on YouTube. I listen to MS Subbalakshmi, and there is also Shri Sisters. I listen to them both, and you can see on the screen that all the verses from this 7 Kand, Balya, Ayodhya, Aranya, Kishkinda, Sundar, Yuddha Kand and Uttarakand, they also flash on the screen. You can see them with meaning. So I just wanted to mention that, and I don't want to keep you any longer. It's already time. So I beg your forgiveness. Thank you so much for bearing with me. And just to summarize this verse, that one must do his dharma, an occupation or duty according to his nature, varna and ashrama, and in doing so, he must please Lord Hari by keeping Krishna in center, and that's the ultimate duty in our spiritual life. So that's the summary of this verse. And any questions, any comments, corrections, then please go ahead. Okay, excellent. Fine. Okay, so that looks good. Thank you so much. There are so many messages for wonderful recitation. Thank you so much for your beautiful service, your enthusiasm, inspiring us all to share something every evening. Extremely grateful to you for allowing me to serve. And we will end it here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
glories to Shri
Hare
Bhagavad.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you.